money don't grow on trees. I got bills to pay, I got mouths to feed. There ain't nothing in this world for free. I know I can't slow down, I can't hold back, though you know I wish I could. I know there ain't no rest for the wicked until we close our eyes for good.
Hey, going your way on this big old highway of life. Yes, indeedy, Fleetwood Mac. A big old Fleetwood Mac attack. Here on the Coyote Medicine Show, your morning wake-up call, and so much more here on the Hazy Radio Network. Rocking the network you ever found. Ooh, and some happy times, about to be found. And big times coming around as we play our rock and roll day. Get it our way here. Yeah, the Coyote Medicine way. Don't you see, don't you say? Wouldn't you know it? That's the way, man. Yes, indeed. The joke's always on you and me too and all the rest of this so-called uncivilization, man, that one of these days may actually become civilized. You know, there for a long time the rest of the universe was sitting around drumming its fingers on the old countertop, old tabletop, wondering when in the hell we were ever going to catch on. Surprise! And guess what? You know, Mother Earth and all of us actors and players here have just become the #1 soap opera in the whole reality of creation, man. Is this universe and that universe and that universe and that, and they're all tuned into it, man. All of them. We got the highest ratings in, well, that's ever been given in creation, man. We are the numero uno dramatic, poetic little play being sung and danced here in this earthly sort of way, while all of the rest of all these universes tune in and say, wow, they really are surprising us, man. They're coming back. Wow. See, a lot of folks, especially amongst them E.T. nations that didn't understand too well, kind of gave up on us there for a while. You know, you got to remember that's a matrix, babe. You know, the E.T. presence is in the real life, of course, are always with us. But in the matrix, there was some, wow, severe disagreement with humanity in its ways. You know, they just couldn't understand, you know, how we did it, why we did it, what we were doing to each other, let alone, you know, trying to do to the rest of this reality. Holy shite. It got way out of sight, didn't it, babies? Yes, it did. To the point where we almost killed off our beautiful lady here, our Mother Earth. Now, isn't it a good thing that we're living that in a holographic way? And beneath the surface of this level, there is another level where the Earth exists in her total poetic beauty forever and ever, and never gives it up, and never has an unpeaceful thought, and is always involved in the fullness of creation. See, we're just dissolving out of this paradigm, which is an illusion, hologram, into that one which is our reality, our truth, the place where we dream the hologram into being, and then extend our conscious presence into it, you see. But in so doing now, the holographic reality and the earthly reality kind of merge, you see, and then the human grows up. You know, we're babies in arms right now, and we need the cuddling because we've been to hell and gone and a whole bunch of other crap in the process, man. So we need the nurturing, the cuddling that little babies get. And the universe is more than willing to give us that, you know, and has been, believe it or not. You think it's tough? Whew. Just think of what it could have been. That'll make tough seem simple. You know what I mean? Babies, you don't have to look very far to find somebody with a far worse story than yours, man. You know, so don't get all caught up in your sacrificial being, man, and thinking you've given enough, because, you know, well, maybe you have given enough to the drama. Maybe you're already on your way out of it. Maybe you're already living this poetic little dance we call life, and you're the delight of the whole universe, man. You just tickle their hearts, pink, purple, green, black, blue, whatever they are. They're living them larger because of you. You see, each one of us is a personal experience in a far larger reality. And in that experience, we're sharing our gaining, our growing, our joy at being able to experience this life in this dumbed-down, direct sort of way. With everybody and everything in this universe that wants to tune into it. It's a living, record, let's say, it's like a TV show, man, you know, it's like the Truman Show, only far larger than that, way beyond that concept. Because you can see through the Truman Show. Have you ever seen through this one? No. But you're starting to. Because your life is coming back, see? The conscious presence you extended into this human person is going to get larger and larger and larger. Till this human person retreats into all of creation. And it is a retreat from the dumbness, a retreat from the coldness, the harshness, and into the conception of polarity, of course. Now, some pretty dynamic things are underway this week here in October. October, I told you, is always a pretty heavily big shifting month, you know. I mean, it wasn't but maybe 20, 25 years ago, I was laying on my deathbed once again in October, but guess what? Came back to life. See, you know, there's always these little moments in October that are like, wow, off the charts in their goodness, you know. And it usually sends you off in a good direction so you can stand to get your ass through another bitter cold winter and get on with life. You know what I mean, Jelly Bean? There's always this reassurance given us. This is kind of the harvest time, you know. Call it a harvest moon, if you will. I know technically it's not. The moon's supposed to be in Libra, I think, right now, or who knows. Mars is messing with everything, and I don't know, and Jupiter's all upset because, well, anyway. We are the planets and the stars. We are the creation, babies. And if you don't like the flow and direction of it, well, change it, you know. Just understand you really can. And how do you do that? Well, sit there for a moment. Feel all the blessings and the abundance in your life. And bless your sweet little Bippy for that. See what needs correcting and see where that flow takes you, man. You know, it's so beautiful, it's so pure, and it's so simple and sweet, really. Now, it might get complicated in the dramatic way, but people, you know, you got to understand, the universe appreciates a little of the drama. That's why people watch soap operas, you understand, you know? So we can't help it if we overact just a wee bit, you know? We're getting paid really well for this job, man. The payoff is not just planetary ascension. It's a universal ascension, which probably will affect all these other universes that are tuning in too, wouldn't you say? I bet it will. Man. Just wait till we get to the party celebration of the cast party on this one, babies. We're arranging it right now here inside of our heart, each and every one of us. Yes, indeed. As we start to realize our heart and come back to life. And get with the program here. Get real inside of ourselves so that we can feel the love, the life that we're living. And begin to extend it back into this creation the same way we did when we was tiny little baby children and had that little, well, for you it might have been metaphorical experience at the dinner table where you remember there is a moment in your childhood where you extended yourself into the creation around you in an effort to better understand. And then you found that it was really entertaining to feel what others feel and be what others be and understand. And, you know, it just kept getting bigger. You felt all of it. It wasn't like you tuned into any one. You were tuned into the one that's in everyone and everything. See, it's an amazing state of being, and it's where we're meant to be always. If you'll notice in your life that moment has expanded, here and here, it replicates itself throughout the life. You may not recognize it as such until you're looking back. Then you know, and then you can see what's up ahead, and looking back, you see what's up ahead. When you're purifying your view of it, that is. You go look back, you know, for all the tawdry reasons. Well, guess what? You're going to create a tawdry future for yourself, too. It's just the way it works. You want to be in a sour-ass mood? Be in a sour-ass mood, but that's what's coming. See, it's time for us to deal with the old basic wounds in humanity so we can finally get on with the program. And you got to understand, these have been held pretty deep in each and every person that's here, and a lot of us have dealt with them pretty dang creatively already. But you got to understand the nature of your ancient soul and what it's really crying for. And that's complete and total resolution. So there is no heartache, no heartbreak anymore, and that's the illusion let go of. See, the heart is superiorly strong, or life wouldn't exist now. It's been tested to the maximum. It took its polarities and stretched itself out so far and wide that there was hardly any middle left. But there was enough love there in the middle to bring it all back together. You see, it goes in a big old long cycle of about 1 billion years. Now, I want to take you back to a time about 120 million years ago. Many of you won't remember this, but most of you have some kind of cosmic memory of it. We took our energy, our sunlight, and projected it into a human person, and at the same time the sun appeared in the sky and we began to experience day and night. Do you remember that? And we put this king, this queen, in this tall palace on a mountain overlooking all of creation, just like the sun is in the sky, And we let our creation flow through this that we created as a creator's sun, more or less in human form, but shining with the brilliance of the sun, both of them, because there was one. There was two, but there was one, you see, and the sun. And that was shining back into us the brilliance of our own creation, and we thought we'd really done something because we could experience it outside of ourselves now and not just inside. It was a simultaneous feeling, but we had an outer demonstration of it. We thought that was really cool. We thought we'd really done something as humanity, as the ancient Lemurians or whatever you want to call us at that stage of the game. That we were, man. It was brilliant, it was beautiful, and it was really a great way of being. Totally different than anything we'd ever experienced before. Little did we realize, of course, that this thing could go awry. That, by projecting outside of ourselves and dividing a part of ourselves away, we had created a division, and we had stepped into the world of division, disunity, disharmony, Wow. And the fractures begin to appear shortly thereafter. First they came in, and it was kind of like a planetary invasion on another level in another way. But understand, this is our function here. We had to shine so bright and be so innocent and so pure and so stupid that the anterior beings that had lost themselves from life would be attracted to us like flies to the fresh you-know-what, or bees to the honey, you know what I mean? They were, and they are, and they have been ever since. But see, it started filtering in because we divided ourselves in creation in a sense so we could experience outside what we always felt inside. We wanted to see it out. There's a whole new level of feeling there to develop and so forth. So you can understand the adventure we were committing ourselves to. And yeah, we could see there would be some anomalies. We knew this in advance, of course. We knew we were creating a sweet honey trap, but we had to be dumbed down enough in that presence not to remember that. So that memory stayed in her heart. We buried it. It was part of our deception, in a way. Understand there is no real deception. But in order to entice this third of creation that had got away from us back into its heart, and our experience in their heart, well, this is the way we set it up. This is how we did it. That's the larger picture there. So through the brilliant light coming through the beings that we're projecting all of our creation into comes a few little silver slivers of discoloration, kind of shadowy looking, And they're hardly noticeable. One flips in here, and one flips in there, and one flips in there, and one flips in there, and another flips in over there. And then there was this kind of ball of darkness forming before us and creating a barrier between the sun and ourself, and the sun gods and ourself. And literally, the sun was taken over, eclipsed by this dark force that slipped in a little bit here and a little bit there. And this is when human beings began to tumble and fall into the ways of darkness. We lost, in a sense, our connection because we divided away our connection from our great light. We'd lost our connection with our creative brilliance. In a sense, we'd been invaded. And then these energies created what we called then an age of darkness. And it was to be a really long thing as it turned out, but at first it was just a momentary experience. Yeah, right. As usual, it's always a lot more involved here than we ever thought it would be. As a human collective, as a human presence, no one personally is responsible for that, No one personally can be blamed for that, though I know a lot of religionists tend to genderize it and blame the woman, and a lot of women blame the man, and the man blames the devil, and the devil blames the woman, and it goes on and on. It's all bullshit. You see, we allow this to be. That's the true story of our creation, or at least one little aspect of it, where we took that turn. But it was an agreed upon thing well in advance. Remember, we have these confabs. And all of that we are living in this divine paradigm, this hologram, is agreed upon well in advance. Of course, it's given its flexibility, and it can go any which way that it wants. But we knew, we could see as we stepped into this darkness, into this age of division. And our great light became eclipsed, and our sun in the sky eclipsed as well by this burning ball of light that wasn't so friendly to us, you see. And the whole thing changed, Ooh, and then, there was another level of the invasion, and they began to interfere with us genetically, spiritual genetics, and physical throughout the reality. You see, wow, babies, the innocents were being so abused. This is where the conception of rape came from, was in times like that, because it was a rape of a whole planetary existence, which was the rape of the universe in a way, because it is the mother love. But in another sense, it was a beautiful thing of her to sacrifice us, to sacrifice within her in this way, and allow this being and presence to come forward within us as human beings. And to spend all these ages and generations working out the divine difficulties there within it. To this point, to this day of right now, this moment of right now, where we're essentially at peace inside of ourselves with all elements of our ever-loving heart. And whatever remains in there is in development. It's finishing up, babies. We feel very close now to what's real. And in fact, this life, as beautiful as it is and much as we love it, is taking on the aspects of the surreal once again as the elements begin to dissolve, the firmly fixed elements here that seem so real and so solid. You see, we're beginning to learn to live in the flow, to go the deeper level, the deeper way, which is the higher way. And then one moment we're in the sun, and the next the sun's in us. That's how we be. We're just reabsorbing our reality, because now we've got ourselves back together in totality. And we have indeed inside of ourselves embraced all parts of ourselves, even that seemed to be an invasionary force, a polarity opposite of the heart, etc. That too we have embraced, and all the cowardly and stupid behavior that went with it, all of the craziness, where our souls and hearts and our energies were devoured, it seemed, Babies, we're rising above this world of hunger and need by allowing this union, this reunification inside. Now, it may happen instantaneously, it may take a while. Just let it develop as it will. Just be inside yourself in humble appreciation if you can. If not, just whatever you can muster. Just be as appreciative as you can possibly be. Give up the idea of victimization. You see, where it is a personal experience, you really, and I have issues with this too, you really can't be taking it all personal. You see, you're not responsible for all of creation, yet it is responsible to you. And therefore, in your love, you can't help but be in harmony with it. Harmony, too. Get you a little moany sometimes, huh? But even when you're moany and groany, you're beautiful. And your soul's in great joy. Even when you feel that you've lost and you're going to give up forever, your soul's in great joy. And guess what? It knows you ain't giving up diddly. It knows you ain't going anywhere. It knows you can never feel another bad moment as long as you live, because you've existed long enough to feel them all, and there ain't no more left to be. Now you got to give up the illusion and live in reality, the love that you are, and be creation. Don't you see? It's about time. You unwound that little divine element inside. Oh, babies, now you're in for a ride. So says Grandpa here on the Coyote Medicine Show. Where else but the Hazy Radio Network? You want to get it clear? Tune in here. Hey, Joe! Oh, can you hear the call? It rises from the beasts of the field, the birds of the air, the very sky itself reveal what we on earth came to feel, come to find as being real. The call is in what you feel. The call is in the expansive heart. The call is answered, and we've got that start. We've got that beginning, where all life comes together again at the center of our personal being, at the center of all creation. Yes, indeed. That's the call of the heart, you all, and the song by which it's sung. Oh, yes, indeed. In the cry of the eagle is the harmony of the heart. In the beller of the buffalo, the harmony of the heart. In the sighs of the baby children settling down to nurture upon the mama. Ah, the love of all in universal expression. See, we cured ourselves, kind of in a sneaky way this time around. We go back 120 million years ago and see that flow, see how it turned into darkness, don't you know? And we sealed it away in a big old tomb, you know, put a stake in the heart and says, we'll never do this again. We'll never let this loose on earth again, not ever. That's an aspect of herself we're going to keep in check. That is, after we came back to life, after a whole lot of pain, a whole lot of darkness, a whole lot of uncomplimentary gain, you know. Oh my goodness, baby. Yet it kept raising itself up again and again. Generations in time would go on, and we'd be doing fine, and blammo, there it'd be again. And down we go in a hard fall, man, each and every time, one way or another. We were such suckers for the illusionary quality of it, you know, for the unreality of it, man. We couldn't get enough of it at times. You've seen borne witness to that in this dispensation of time right here in the now. Look at how many people fall for it, you know. I mean, you know, just look at how many people are in the company of a huge company that seems against all of humanity, that seems contrary to it. Look inside yourself and see that part of yourself that feels itself contrary to itself. Isn't that weird? You see how creation reflects itself? You see how we resolve the reflection? Then in the reflection is the creation. Inside of us is the beginning. And that's where we start. Unifying the heart. Bringing it all back together again as one singular voice. One singular conscious experience in the full presence of life. It goes beyond the dynamics of chakras and sexuality and sensuality and the forms of love we've known before now. These were inadequate means that were barely adequate to get us through, babies. For all of the beauty and love we've been able to express and experience there, it's but a shadow of our truth. A mere glimmer of the truth that we all live in, each and every one of us, no matter how debilitated or how gifted we may seem to be. Each of us lives this life in a great equity. There is a singular conscious presence alive inside of you, me, and everything else you see. And it's not something separate from us at all. It's something we can dissolve our personal person into. By allowance, by just letting ourselves free, by hearing the call that comes to us from nature quite naturally. You see, you'll be walking down the street, and there'll be a little birdie chirping in a tree above you, singing a very unusual song, and you will hear voices, and you will hear and see and realize what the call is inside, and begin to take that ride. See, we're on the very vestibule, the takeoff point, as I call it, of the rise of humanity, the re-arisal of humanity, back to the ancient place we come from in the moment of now. A return to our full conscious presence in the innocent, divine, and powerfully creative angels that we are. Living in the high places of the earth, living in the high places of the city of light, living in the high places of the love of the heart that doth provide for everyone. And no one have need any longer. You see, we satisfy everything in one sweet moment, in one sweeping, sweet moment, by allowing ourselves to be, to arise as we remember ourselves to be, to let the full truth of our presence no longer be eclipsed inside by some other vision, to let the reality of our truthful self exist here now, in the human form, in the presence that we are, whether it be human or otherwise. You see, there is a unity here that crosses creation. It's not just human, it's all of us. Our entire family. The natives here in the Turtle Island have a way of saying all my relations, you know. Well, exactly. And some will come to you now, not just birdies, not just coyotes, but these are primary communicators. You pay attention if something like that, a feathered being or a furry being of the coyote way shows up. You pay attention to what it has to say. You open your heart and you will see what is to be, what you are already. See, we were reassured that this creation would indeed come into its ascendancy because we snuck it in when nobody was looking. You see, way back when you had that moment as a baby child, I compare it to my time in the high chair, sitting by the dinner table watching everybody eat, kind of ignored in the moment, but blessedly so, because this allowed the personal presence to extend into all presences, personal, like, and feel them all together as a singular motion of life, to see the unity in the chaos, the symphony in the disharmony, the rock in the roll in the rock, and the rock in the soul, the heart of all, so sincere, so sweet. I never forgot my family that way. I could see past the bullshit in that moment. See, I knew it, and I could extend on into creation. I was entertained. I was so loved and loving. There was so much love in motion, it was almost overwhelming, yet not. Seemed natural as all get, as natural as breathing, more natural than breathing. You see, more natural than anything that was going on around me, yet the full presence of what was truthfully going on around me. See, each of us has our moment of that. Each of us in this vibe tribe, each of us in the larger tribe of humanity. Everyone's had an experience like this. And there may be just a vague, shadowy memory of it. There may be none at all. Yet there is the feeling that that's real. Focus on that feeling in your quieter moments. Give yourself a moment or two to see, and you'll answer the call. You'll hear it, and you'll answer it, see? We're right on the verge of some pretty dynamic changes in humanity. I was going to run a big old news flash, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it, because the news is inside of you, and I can only indicate to you what it is. Some of it has to do with the revealing of this plasma technology that's coming up on October 16, 3 days from now. It's given to the earth freely, and there are no requirements upon it. And if this guy goes south and tries to get greedy, someone else will step right up and do it again. It's here. It's a part of us now, see? Understand that that moment that we expanded into our creation as baby children was the moment we realized our grand nature, the grandfather, the grandmother in each one of us, the oneness, the unity, the equity in all of our being and presence throughout creation. And that's the moment we saw it ever since. We put it away 120 million years ago. And when that king and queen died, we buried them, like I said, in a vault where they were not coming out of forever. You can still feel the pain of that, the betrayal that was felt between the two of them, etc. I mean, it's a long story, and I won't go into it now, but you feel it. See, we're resolving the effects of that by realizing and remember the moment when we did truthfully sneak in planetary ascendancy by realizing our place in creation after we were becoming conscious in the earth reality. So it happened somewhere between the age of 1 and 3. Generally speaking, it might have been 4 or 5 in you. Who cares? It's the same moment in all of us. Lived at different times. See, this is the harmonic nature of life. It works in perfect synchronicity, and that's what we realize in such moments. Now we step back a moment or two, a step or two, and we take a look at what we're living right now, you see. And we see that's what's been sadly lacking. We don't always remember that moment where we extend into creation. So now we're kind of reincarnating that moment by going back and remembering the first time it occurred in this life. Then we see that our ascendancy, our peace, our expansive love, our place in the universe as creative children thereof is assured. And there's no stepping back from it. It was as simple as one quiet little moment like that where it all began to change and shift in this direction. So the late 40s, early 50s were real significant times. Not only did we start to reveal ourselves in other levels and other dimensions as multidimensional persons, we started coming back from the future and the past to collect ourselves in the wholeness of the present, of this now, right now, whatever that is. It's the right time. It's the right moment. It's the place we've been looking for. It's the place we've been craving. It's the reunion of the heart. You see, and we see before us the sun, and we stand before that sun, and we see the sunny one arising again. We see the king, the queen, the power, the beauty of creation flowing into us from the golden heart of love, which is held as one between the two of them. You see, that's how we formulated that thing. And put the crystalline energy around it to protect the creation of it. We're not stupid. We're brilliant. We chose this experience to rehabilitate ourselves, to season us into the grandest forms of life and living there could ever be, and to share that then as the children of creation. What? With all of creation? Of course. The personal experience, the feeling experience. Of course, we still unite as a greater collective. Of course. But there is a new aspect, the personal, appreciative person, that gets shared first here and realized in fullness as the whole of creation. Living in that creation as the person that you are. And that view is shared greatly. Feeling begins in places where there was no feeling before, only raw logic, which wasn't worth too much. Yet got us here where we are now. No complaints. The burden is gone. The healing is complete. You allow it to complete within you as you will, but it's done already, and it was done in that moment in the past, which is present right now. That expansive moment of the heart when the baby child lived and remembered that it was living in everything. Only in innocence could we do this. And that's why they seek so early on to rob you of your innocence. You see. They don't want anybody catching on, yet they want everybody catching on, because this is what they desire most, is to return to their place in creation, which isn't them at all. It's us. It's just another aspect of ourselves. We've lived it inside in that polarized way. We've experienced it outside in the polarized way. We recognize now the unity in life, the one heart in everything. We know that's us, no matter how misbehaving it may have been. We know how to get it behaving again now, don't we? Little child, just extend your love into everything, and it doesn't seem so wild any longer. Yet it's wild and free and crazily so. Happy to be that wild horse, free to gallop anywhere in the universe and graze wherever it feels to be, to enjoy itself, its life, its journey, completely, wholly, as the one person we all are, in the divine nature of creation. That's why you'll feel this call coming forward from the most unusual of places. You might hear a booming voice come right out of the sky. Say, hey, y'all! Time to get with the program, and you feel a switch inside, and bing, you're with the program. Some friend in the great beyond, which ain't so beyond after all now, is it? You see how close it's getting? Or it might be the eagle crying. You hear the voice in that, and then the call. You see, or it might be the yip-yap of a coyote. It might be in the bark of a dog, the pedal purr of a little kitty cat, etc. Mostly, though, I think it comes to you in the form of a little bird. Depends on who you are, but it does come, and it does come from nature and the sky and the earth, the very bowels of the earth. From her heart, this call comes forward. Come back to me, my precious children, and be united in my heart once again. All of us. The family is together now. The prodigal element fulfilled, the shamanistic transformative tendencies fulfilled right along with it, eh? See, we've proven to ourselves love can transform anything and everything. And we're doing this right now by seeing through our own personal boogie persons and the boogie persons then that reflect that crap in this world. Darlings, we've done it. We've rolled on down the divine highway and we're arriving at home, at our destination. Right here in the right now, babies. And how.